I want you to look at three parts of your own client journey. First, I want you to look at the first 48 hours after someone contacts you. Second, I want you to look at how you communicate when there is no major update. And third, take a look at how you close the relationship when the work is complete. And those three moments may have more influence on referrals and reviews than any advertising campaign ever will. I'm Sylvia Garibaldi, founder and CEO of a well-established marketing training and done-for-you services company, tailored specifically for the modern legal and financial professional worldwide. While it's taken some trial and error to figure out which methods get the best results for professionals who are looking to grow their practices, fast forward to today, my team and I have nailed down and perfected a process that has helped so many of our clients consistently achieve outstanding results and create a legacy for their practices. I created the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast to give you simple, actionable, non-salesy, and results-driven marketing to grow your legal or financial practice like so many of our clients have. If you're a lawyer, mediator, financial, or divorce professional who is looking to become highly visible and wants to create a practice that makes an impact, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 134 of the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast. I'm your host, Sylvia Garibaldi, and if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast by hitting the follow or subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes packed with actionable strategies to grow your practice. So today I'm super excited because we are launching a new 4-part series episode, and it is based on something that I believe every lawyer, mediator, and divorce professional needs to understand. Right now, 4 different recommendation engines are helping to decide who gets the next call. Most professionals are paying attention to only 1 or 2 of them, but prospective clients may actually encounter all 4 before deciding whether to contact you. And that is super important. And I think here is what makes this especially important. You may never know that you are being considered. Imagine that someone recommends a mediator to a client. That sounds like a strong referral, and it should be. But the client doesn't immediately make the call. They search the mediator's name online, they visit the website, they look at your LinkedIn profile, they may read a few posts and look for reviews, and they will even ask an AI platform what type of mediator they need or decide which professionals handle their particular kind of dispute. And if the information they find is unclear, if it's inconsistent, or it doesn't demonstrate the mediator's expertise, that very strong personal recommendation may never turn into an inquiry. And so the mediator won't know that the person visited their website. They may not know that their LinkedIn profile was reviewed. They won't know that the client asked AI for more information. And what they simply will know is that the phone never rang. And this is happening much more often than many professionals realize. This is why I feel compelled to pull together this 4-part series. Now, Clio's latest research found that 59% of solo and small firms still report referrals as their highest source of leads. So why is this important? Well, simply because human recommendations are still extremely valuable. But the way that those recommendations are being evaluated is changing. And this is why we need to talk about this, because things are changing rapidly. In fact, another report found that more than half of consumers have either used AI to answer a legal question or would consider doing so. Okay, that's another important fact. And so referrals haven't disappeared. They're just being checked. They're being compared, and they're being confirmed in new ways. And this is why over the next 4 episodes, I'm going to reveal these 4 recommendation engines one at a time. And we're going to look at what makes each one more likely to point someone in your direction, where professionals are unknowingly weakening their recommendations, and what you can actually do to become easier to find, trust, and choose. So, I'm not going to be revealing all four today. You're just going to need to stick around with me over the next little while until we uncover each one. But I will tell you this: these engines do not operate independently. One can introduce someone to you, another can strengthen or weaken that introduction. A third may determine whether your expertise is visible at the exact moment someone needs it. And the fourth is already changing how prospective clients research their problems and decide who to contact. And they operate differently. But I will tell you, they look for many of the same things. They look for clarity, they look for credibility, they look for consistency. And more importantly, they are looking for evidence that you have the experience to help with a particular problem. Here's the thing: marketing is changing quickly. This is why this episode, and in fact, this series, is so important, because there is no single marketing tactic that will make all four recommend you. Okay. You become recommendable by building a professional reputation that is clear, that is visible, and that is supported by evidence. Okay. And this includes the experience that you create for the people that you serve, the relationships that you build, the quality of the ideas you share, and whether the information people find about you tells that one consistent story. Okay, that is a super important message. So today, we are beginning with the first recommendation engine, and it's the one closest to your actual work. It's also the one that many professionals assume will automatically recommend them if they simply do a good job. But doing excellent professional work and creating an experience people want to talk about are not always the same thing. So, recommendation engine number one is your clients. What do your clients say about working with you when you're not in the room? And are you creating the kind of experience that they feel confident recommending to someone that they care about? So I'm super excited to dive into this episode. Let's get started. So let's begin with recommendation engine number one, your clients. And so, as I mentioned, this is the first episode in our four-part series. So each week, we're going to be focusing in on one recommendation engine and look at what makes it more likely to point someone in your direction. Okay. And so today, we're going deeper into the engine closest to your actual work, the people who experience your service firsthand. So many professionals assume that if they do good work and achieve a good result, their clients will naturally recommend them. And sometimes they do. But what we're seeing is that excellent professional work and a referral-worthy client experience are not always the same thing, right? So you may have negotiated an excellent settlement, resolved an extremely difficult mediation, or helped someone make sound financial decisions during one of the most stressful periods of their life. But your client may not fully understand the technical skill that went into that result. So what they will remember is how they felt while you were helping them. Did they feel heard? Did they understand what was happening? Did they know what the next step would be, right? Did someone respond when they were most worried? Another important question is, did they feel as though their matter was important? Or did they feel like they were just one file among hundreds, right? And this is what clients talk about when someone asks them for a recommendation. They usually don't say, oh, my lawyer demonstrated exceptional technical proficiency in applying the relevant case law. No, they're not saying that. You and I both know that. Instead, they are saying things like, she explained everything in a way that I could understand, or he always responded when I was most concerned. He called me back right away. Or I didn't feel like I was being judged. So these are the sorts of things that people are looking for. Or maybe they're saying something like, he helped me understand my options without telling me what I had to do. Or I felt like they genuinely cared about What happened to me? I felt like I was being treated like a family member. And so those are the stories that actually create recommendations. And I think this is especially important for lawyers, mediators, and divorce professionals because the people coming to you are often experiencing fear, confusion, conflict, enormous uncertainty. And they may be dealing with the end of a marriage, concerns about their children, maybe conflict in a family business, an estate dispute, or a workplace problem that is affecting every part of their life. And so you may handle these matters every day. But for the client, this may be the first and only time that they ever go through this experience. And so that difference matters. Something that feels routine to you may feel like changing. So, something that feels routine to you can definitely feel life changing to the client. And something as simple as going several days without an update may not seem unusual inside a busy professional practice, but think about the person waiting on the other end, right? Those several days can be filled with anxiety, assumptions about everything that might be going wrong. And so there is a sentence that I want you to remember here. No news may be normal inside your practice, but to an anxious client, no news rarely feels neutral. In fact, it feels pretty unsettling. And so they start wondering whether you received their message. They wonder whether anything is happening. They wonder whether they've been forgotten, right? And by the time you contact them or someone from your office contacts them, you may be giving them perfectly reasonable information, but you're also trying to repair the worry that developed during that silence. So, communication, my friends, is one of the clearest opportunities to create a better client experience. In fact, according to the American Bar Association, an article specifically from the ABA reported that almost 70% of lawyers see client communication as a challenge. I think that tells us something important here. I'm sure you'll agree, right? Many professionals aren't intentionally providing a poor experience. They are busy. They are dealing with court dates, mediation briefs, meetings, urgent client matters, staff issues, endless email. But the client doesn't experience your workload. They don't know anything about your workload. But what they do experience is the way you communicate with them. And this doesn't mean that you need to be available every hour of every day. We know that that's impossible. It simply means you need to set and manage expectations. So, for example, maybe telling clients how quickly they can expect a response so they understand the timeline. So, it may not be same day response, but it's within 2 days or within 3 days. Whatever your protocol is, let them know, right? Let them know who they should contact for different questions. Explain what will happen after a meeting, right? That's the process part. Send an update, even when the update is simply that you're still waiting, and give them a clear sense of what comes next. Because when people understand the process, something amazing happens. They feel less lost inside it because they know what the next step is. And so instead of worrying why they haven't heard from you, they'll know what the next step is. And that gives them some kind of reassurance, right? And that feeling becomes part of the recommendation that they eventually give you, right? Now, if you remember only part of today's episode, please let it be this, okay? There are 3 moments in every client relationship that can determine whether someone eventually refers to you, okay? Or, recommends a friend to your practice. Okay, so here are the three moments. The beginning, the experience of working together, and the ending. So I want to tackle each one. So the first is the beginning. How easy was it for them to contact you, right? How quickly did someone acknowledge their inquiry? Another important one is, did the prospective client understand what would happen during the consultation? Did they know what they needed to prepare for, right? And so I think that's super important. Like, did they feel welcome, or did the process immediately feel difficult and confusing? Because that is not a good way to start a client relationship. The second moment is everything that happens while you're working together. Okay, so this is where consistency matters. Are you doing what you say you're going to do? Is your team reaching out when they said they were going to reach out? Are you explaining complicated information in plain language? This is a big one, folks. The way you explain things matters a lot. And so taking the time to explain things in plain language will serve you and your practice extremely well. Are you preparing the client for those difficult moments? You know what those difficult moments could be, and preparing them for that is super important. Are you helping them understand not only what is happening, but why it's happening? And are you remembering that what is routine to you may be completely foreign to them, right? And that's important to give consideration to that. The third moment is the ending, really. And this is the part many professionals overlook. The case closes, the final invoice is sent, the file is closed, and then everyone moves on to the next urgent priority. But here's the thing. The ending is often when a client is in the best position to reflect on the entire client experience. Do they understand what was accomplished? Have you acknowledged that the relationship is ending, right? That the case is closed? Have you thanked them for trusting you? Do they know what to do if they need help again? Or what do they need to look out for in the next couple of months or the next 6 months to a year? And where appropriate and permitted, have you asked them to share their experience through a review, a testimonial, or a referral, right? That's important. And I think the final conversation can turn a completed matter or case into a lasting relationship, because here's what we know. Client recommendations can also take two different forms, right? The first is the private recommendation. So this is them having a conversation at dinner with some friends or in an office or through an email or during a phone call when someone says, I know somebody you should speak with, right? That's what we call private recommendation. Then there's the public recommendation. That's the second one. And that could be a Google review. That could be a LinkedIn recommendation. That could be a testimonial on your website. So the public recommendation can influence far more than one person, right? And the ABA found that 76% of consumers consider online reviews important or very important when hiring someone in legal services. So, something for you to give some consideration to, because a review can help reassure the person who has already received your name from someone that they trust. Okay. And it can also strengthen what appears when someone searches for you online. That's super important. And of course, it can become another public source of information that other recommendation engines may use to understand your reputation. So I hope that's making sense. So, over the next 3 episodes, I'm going to show you how the client experience can strengthen or sometimes quietly weaken the other recommendation engines. And I'm super excited to share the rest of them with you. But this doesn't begin with asking for a 5-star review. Okay. It begins with creating an experience worth talking about. And that is the question that I want you to consider. What do your clients say about working with you when you're not in the room? And not what do they say about your qualifications and not what they say about your years of experience, right? But what do they say about the experience of being helped by you? And if you're not sure, then you should ask them. You could ask, what part of our process was most helpful to you? Or was there any point when you felt uncertain about what was happening? What could we have explained more clearly to you? And what would you tell someone who is considering working with us, right? Those are important questions that you can ask. And their answers will tell you what is already creating recommendations and where the client experience may be quietly weakening them. So before we finish this episode, I want you to look at 3 parts of your own client journey. Okay. First, I want you to look at the first 48 hours after someone contacts you. Second, I want you to look at how you communicate when there is no major update. And third, take a look at how you close the relationship when the work is complete. And those 3 moments may have more influence on referrals and reviews than any advertising campaign ever will. So I encourage you to look at this seriously because your clients are only the first recommendation engine. In another episode, we're going to uncover recommendation engine number 2. And this one can put your name into the conversation long before a prospective client ever visits your website or even knows that you exist. But it comes with something many professionals underestimate, and that is the person recommending you is putting part of their own reputation on the line. And what makes them feel confident doing that? And what might quietly stop them? And this is what we're going to explore in part number 2. So please make sure that you follow or subscribe to the podcast because you really don't want to miss the next recommendation engine. I promise you, this 4-part series is going to be a really great one that's going to help you take a look at your practice and see where the gaps are and see where you can start to capitalize and grow even faster. But until then, take a close look at the beginning, the middle, and the ending of your client experience, because I'll tell you this, excellent work matters, and it matters a lot. But the experience surrounding that work is what people are going to remember, it's what they're going to talk about, and it's what they're going to recommend. Thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, keep serving first and selling later. See you in the next episode.